I saw the hype on this manga like crazy all over social media, and I just had to read it. I thought to myself, it can't be that good, right? And oh boy, was I wrong. Let's go over Kagurabachi and see why it is taking over the anime and manga community by storm, and why I think this manga will be the next big thing. If you're new here, I create banging anime videos from breakdowns, recommendations, news, and relating anime to real life. We do it all here. Let's get this video started. I just want to give a quick shout out to Atlo for letting me use this color to work for the thumbnail, because this is absolutely stunning work. There will be spoilers in this video for chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Kagurabachi. You've been warned. This story starts off with a son and a father, Chihiro and Kunoshige. They are swordsmiths that create katanas from scratch together for work. Chihiro being the mentee and his father being the mentor. The relationship is honestly a great one to see, because Chihiro is a very serious teen that basically takes care of his father at home. To take this point even further, we don't see Chihiro laugh or smile the first time we see these characters, but his father on the other hand is a jokester, and I love it. We see that they fit each other so well because of their personalities being completely different from one another. One day as they're working, we meet Shiba, a family friend who shows up unannounced to eat with them. And we really see that Shiba admires Chihiro's father a lot, and we get to know how important Chihiro's father actually is. Kunoshige, being carefree and all this stuff, being loud, is actually really humble once we know how much of a big deal he actually is. Shiba explains that Chihiro's father was really famous during a war 15 years ago, way more famous than the actual soldiers fighting in the battle. And we learn that his father made swords for these soldiers, and the swords are the ones that ended the war itself, and his father is known as a hero across the land. Of course, Chihiro is really unfazed by this because he has heard the story so many times. She believes, but then we see a change of tone and approach by Chihiro's father. Chihiro's father tells him he's getting older and he's about to turn 15 soon. That he's going to have to learn the tough and hard things about being a swordsman. Again, showing Chihiro's unfazed face, he says to do it and stop worrying. We follow his father to a room with a katana displayed, and we see a completely different person show up and start talking about responsibilities and being a swordsman. He explains that people who wield katanas should only use them to eliminate evil and to protect the weak. They need principles and accountability. He tells his son that when he sells a katana to a person and who ends up using it in the wrong way, can he handle that burden? We see Chihiro says he doesn't know for certain, but he is willing to commit to it and taking it head on. We get a 3-year time skip and get introduced to a gang of people who terrorize whomever they please and have hostages. They are known as the Kurogumi, but it's not just a gang of mobsters. This world also introduces sorcerers, and this made me think of JJK obviously, and piqued my interest a bit. We see Chihiro and Shiba again, but this time we see our main character has changed quite a bit, and he seems way more serious than he already did, and he has a scar on his face. We see that this gang terrorizes people and gets away with it all the time, but Chihiro does not like that one bit and is looking for something with Shiba. We know he's trying to find a lead on these sorcerers that work with the Kurogumi, and they end up finding the lead, and Chihiro goes to absolute work on these guys. We see Shiba thinking to himself that Chihiro 3 years ago never had wielded a sword before, but he is very impressed the way Chihiro is able to fight and the way he makes it look so easy. The artwork was amazing during this fight and I loved it. We see him talk to the main mobster, saying that he has to kill these sorcerers he's looking for, and he looks so unfazed saying this, but this mobster is freaking out saying he's insane for even thinking this. We learn that it's the Hishaku who he is looking for, the sorcerers. As soon as the main mobster starts talking about these sorcerers, some magic starts happening inside the guy's body and he freaking explodes. But Chihiro is able to tell Shiba to teleport in time. Yes, teleport. And Shiba is able to teleport himself and one of the hostages they saved to the outside of the building. So we learn Shiba is actually a sorcerer, which makes that a whole lot more interesting. Chihiro is a swordsman and Shiba is a sorcerer. We get a flashback and finally see what happened 3 years ago that changed Chihiro. His father was killed by these sorcerers and they had a distinguishable tattoo on their hand. Shiba finds Chihiro alive but hurt and with his father in his hands. But Shiba is very alarmed and concerned how these guys were able to infiltrate this area because he set up a magic barrier over it and he didn't get any warning. Then we learn something that makes the story even better. We know that Chihiro's father's swords were insane, but Chihiro made these 6 special enchanted blades and they were the ones responsible for ending the war. But when Shiba gets there, he notices they're all gone, and we learn these swords have very special powers and are very unique, and we learn that Chihiro actually wields the 7th sword that his father made after the war that nobody knew about. We see Chihiro ponder about how the swords are probably out there being used for evil, and as he's looking at his enchanted blade with the 3 fish floating around, and these 3 fish were earlier in the chapter 1, we saw his father bought these 3 fish that he wasn't going to take care of, but of course his son was going to take care of them himself. Shiba enters and says there's been a sighting of one of the enchanted swords, and Chihiro readies his sword, ready to go find his father's work. I absolutely enjoyed these chapters so much that it made me finish all of the released chapters up to this point, which are 16, and oh my gosh, this story is so simple but fun. Let's talk about what I really like about this manga and what I don't like about it, which is very little. Chihiro is a great character. We see his ideals, motivations, and skill in these 2 chapters, and it is badass to see. At first we see him as a kid and he seems really dull because of his face, but when he's older fighting off people, he looks so much more cooler, looking unfazed, slicing people up. We see he actually cares about people in the story and isn't cold-blooded as he seems because of his face. He is very smart and able to handle his emotions very well. I mean, he saw sorcery happen right in front of him, and instead of saying damn it, or they got away, or frustrated because he couldn't get what he wanted, he just simply said, hey, we got a lead, I'm not gonna overreact, let's continue the search. I feel like that's really huge for characters, and to see that Chihiro is very mature for his age, it's really cool to see. His father was such a good character, and it was sad to see he isn't in the story as much as I would like to see him. He was a combination of fun and lighthearted, but also had a serious side to him, and great respect and morals for being a swordsman. The fight scene we get is really cool and reminded me of Demon Slayer, and the gruesomeness also reminded me of Chainsaw Man, and the little bit of sorcery we saw of the mobster just exploding reminded me of Jujutsu Kaisen. So it's a mixture of all the 3 in my opinion. There's actually more stuff in this story in the future chapters that remind me of Chainsaw Man, and no, it's nothing sexual, so don't get excited. Oh yeah, the art and style is also really freaking good. The colored intros make the story look modern but have that Japanese sense of style too, because the way Chihiro dresses up, he has like a sweater jacket, but he also has like a suit on, and the people he's fighting all have suits on too, so it's really cool to see. And the art does get better as the story goes on, which is a huge plus for anybody. Honestly, if we talk about the bad stuff, I really don't have anything for it. Later in the chapter, there is some technical stuff explained about the sword's abilities, and it's a bit confusing, but other than that, I have no problems with the story at all. We get introduced to 2 new characters in the next chapter, which are pretty funny. We also see an anti-Kurogami division squad that gets introduced as well, and that's what reminds me of the Devil Hunter squad from Chainsaw Man. There is a specific squad in this story that hunts down and attacks the gangs that are terrorizing the city. We also get introduced to a main villain who honestly seems batshit crazy, but I love it. And there are some really awesome panels of him just being a menace. So I highly recommend you keep on reading this because it's awesome, and I can't wait to see more of that. Overall, I really like this story of Chihiro and the friends he has in this story. He is a very skillful and intelligent swordsman with a kind heart. He hides it under the serious face. He has a goal of eradicating evil and protecting the innocent, and as well as retrieving his father's enchanted swords from the big bad people. I can't wait to see what else comes with this manga because it is so good so far, and I'm hoping it gets animated soon. And I really see Mappa making this because I mean Mappa just picks up the good ones, so I really think they could animate this and make a fucking banger as always. If you have read Kagurabachi, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this manga so far. I think it's really good. Let me know what you think. I have not seen anybody talk bad about this manga, so I would like to see your criticisms on it. If you liked the video, subscribe for weekly anime videos, and I will see you on the next one. Have a great day everybody, and peace.